All right, we got Smite patch notes.
And it's October. We got Halloween month.
20 minutes of skins, 2 minutes of nerfs, 1 minute of buffs.
Joined by two of my favorite people ever, Aggro and Lermy.
Yo.
It's us.
What up?
Doing great. Always excited to share what we've been working on with all the Smite fans.
I was about to say, y'all have been working.
Oh, yeah.
So,
You could say that. Yeah.
say that. I can say that. I say it all the time, at least once a month if I can get away with it. So to start this off, this is going to be a 3-week patch. This is a shorter patch, so we're going to see content, you know, next Tuesday, and then
I did, Demonic. Someone sent it to me last night.
So again, y'all been cooking, truly.
Yes.
So that does mean no bonus. So, you know, if you're like, where's the bonus update? It's a 3-week update. We ain't got that. Don't worry about it. You're going to have another full update coming right around the corner. So it's going to be a lot. We're really.
This is a 3-week update?
Things, but there's a lot of stuff happening. So I guess to move forward, we're going to dive right into some community
Mike
news.
sounds so bad.
First of all, the cosplay contest.
Where's the normal?
Of all the months to talk about a cosplay contest, October is the best. Halloween is right around the corner for those of you who partake in the festive, spooky, spirited Halloween season. And one of the pivotal parts of that is costumes. Whether you're like me and your costume is a bathrobe and a Harry Potter wand, or whether it's, you know, you're awesome and you have all this stuff you create and you post pictures on Twitter that I inevitably like 4 or 5 times and drool over, this is the month for you. And through November 27th, next month, is the Smite time for you for cosplay. That is the deadline for when you can join this cosplay competition that will be celebrated at Worlds in January. We're super excited to be able to celebrate cosplayers of all talent levels, whether you're one of the tried and true professionals who has armor that I couldn't even fathom how you create, or whether you're just getting into it and, you know, trying to learn your skill and like refine your skills. We want to see you there. We want to take pictures with you.
I need someone who's really short, like really short, to cosplay me at Worlds so I can have a mini-me.
Tweeting a picture or video using the hashtag S or Smite cosplay
like crazy
sometime between now and November 27th. That's, you got a little over a month, so you know you have plenty of time to get in there to, you know, refine your idea, figure out what you want, and then have something completely amazing for all of us to be super excited about come the Smite World Championship. So we're so excited to see y'all there. Take pictures, red carpet, the whole shebang. It's going to be incredible, and I'm just getting jitters thinking about it. So I love it. Y'all are so talented. So to continue, talk a little esports now. Esports is, we're moving on. I mean, I'm sure y'all have seen all these crazy roster changes. We're locked in now.
I'll be mini-me, Andy.
Things are crazy. It's been a crazy year, and we're working towards Worlds. You know, it feels like it's going to be right around the corner, and we're all so hype about it, but we got a lot of competition between now and then. So make sure you're keeping your eyes on Smite Games Twitch channel and all of the cool SPL content that we're rolling out. Week 5 is actually on the way, so be ready for that this coming weekend. And let's see how the teams continue to grow and evolve as we reach towards the World Championship in January. Whew, all right, I've talked a lot. That was a lot of blurbing there. I apologize. But now we're getting into some skins. We're starting off with the Odyssey. So we're going to have more Odyssey skins coming up here soon, starting with Infernal Warden Chiron.
Yeah, this one, very, very cool.
Very cool.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, there was...
There we go. The ooze, the ahs. I really like the colors.
I missed that, but
They
this is
killed it.
very on point with that, and definitely a really cool focal point here in the card art.
Yeah, he's
super
got some
exciting
spooky stuff going on there, whether it's like the lack of an actual head. He's just got a flame there. He's got hands on his bow.
Yeah.
Okay.
No need to think any further about that.
He's got hands, which is horrifying, you know?
Yeah, he's got 4 legs and 4 hands. Isn't that crazy?
That's true. He should share. And I also just love that it kind of has that the Halloween color scheme to it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's check this one out in game. I want to see the oranges and the fires live in game.
Oh, look at him. Dude, I like how it's like also very metal. Like it's not so much like flame elemental, but like contained or construct, which I think is super cool.
That's cool. I love the again. I just love the oranges. Orange is probably one of my favorite colors, and
Ooh.
That looks really good.
Yeah, Chiron's usually a very nice guy, but that does not look rather nice, you would say.
But it heals him, so that's
It heals him,
nice.
it heals his teammates, gives him some immunity, you
that's
know.
automatically nice, right? That's how it has to work.
I guess so. Flame is healing for.
I'm pretty sure if they wanted to sell skins, all they'd have to do is do like this, like a skin montage of this with like music.
Ooh, that's really
rather than them talking.
Oh, it's the whole constellations in there.
I'm actually to the point where I am less interested in a skin because of the words they say.
Especially the flaming arrows.
Yep.
Like if I hear flame or fire or another another fucking time like I can't see it, I might lose my
I love
shit.
the cold, so we're transitioning to that cold season. We have the nice toasty fire, the nice orange colors to match the fall decor, and then, like you said, the card art.
Like we get it. It's a fiery, metal fucking covered Chiron. It's cool for Halloween. Go next.
So,
It's not
next
that
up,
hype.
with the Odyssey is Plague Minister Set.
Ooh, creepy.
Yeah,
What do you mean? He's gonna help.
that's friend.
We-
Isn't
we
there
just
somebody
talked
with a
about this. We
similar
literally went over
skin and
this.
Yeah.
colorway
No,
in the
it's
game?
good. You know, it's like witch doctor, but like doctor. You know,
Is it Ami?
They
Is it
help
Ami?
you.
Hades?
Doctor
Yeah,
Set
Hades
to you.
too.
Yeah,
Hades is-
exactly.
Okay.
That's his thing. No, we did one of these recently with Raw as well, having that
Yeah.
that plague doctor mask, and it was just really, really cool, and to see it on set, who just is one of my favorite gods to see get a new skin because they always turn out so cool. Is really awesome.
Yeah, we've had like a lot of more high fantasy skins for Set, so this is like one that's a little
They
bit
could have done
more
so much
closer
more
to
with this skin
reality,
is
but
my
there's still a little
problem.
bit of spice from
Yep.
that fantasy
It
angle,
lacks
but
color
I
on the
think
weapon.
It is like a really cool take on what Set
The
can
face
be.
doesn't pop
I agree.
enough,
I
or the
absolutely
mask,
fan
I
of
guess,
it.
doesn't
I
pop
love all the
enough.
highlights in green.
There's
too,
no color in the
so,
hat.
Just a knockout of the park, and I love the mental gymnastics of the fact that he's here to help. Because I'm gonna admit, doesn't look.
What up,
like
Bankrupt?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Socratic, thank you guys for the
I
resubs.
am
Bobo.
reconsidering if I were to walk into a doctor's office and they had that weapon there, that I suppose is his scalpel.
You think it's been sanitized?
No, I don't. I don't think it's ever been sanitary a single time.
Drilled some holes in to let the demons out.
Yeah, I'm not feeling quite as good about my yearly physical here with
Are we
Dr.
gonna see
Set.
abilities, or are we just gonna
Alright, well,
spin
to
around this
finish up
motherfucker 10 more
Odyssey,
times?
To get away from Dr. Set, we have Carnage Soba.
No, we're not gonna see the abilities. So they're not. The
Oh,
abilities are
this
just
is
This is a
basic.
very
man I trust.
different.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, look, he's so kind.
You know that aggro meant it.
If I walked into a chiropractic office and that's what was looking at me, I'd be like, "This is gonna
This
be." an
is
hourly
like
stress
this
A little
one could
bit
be
of
cool
a,
in game,
a
but
saw action going on with the weapon,
Yeah.
which is very different to his
but
usual.
are we even gonna see it in game? Because if we
weaponry, I would
don't,
say.
there's a
That's
big
like the devil, his
but.
face is wide.
Yeah, he's strong. You can,
But
you
it
can
is
tell.
Sobek.
That guy
But
is-
hey,
that's not that's
I'm down
not
for a
like
cool
the-
Sobek
What's
skin.
the word for it? Like cosmetic muscles. Like
Yeah, no.
there is
Those
nothing.
are there for a reason.
This is a cosmetic, and it does have muscles, but they are not cosmetic muscles.
Man, let's see, and now y'all know we've clarified. So that does it for Odyssey skins coming up with this update. If you hit the buy all button when the Odyssey dropped or any time after that, all of these will be yours right away. Otherwise, make sure to check them out and pick them up when the update launches next Tuesday. So we're moving into more skins here, except these aren't part of the Odyssey. The first one is from a chest, the Dark Times chest, and we have Dark Messenger Nija.
Yeah, this one is dope.
Okay, that doesn't look like Naja
it
at all.
is
So
Oh,
this
for
is
real?
potentially
Very,
the best
very
skin of the patch.
intense, but really, really awesome. The in-game model looks super cool. I may have completely entered a playtest on Naja recently.
We cannot
also did
judge
the same
anything on
thing, to
card
be
art.
fair.
But I
Whoever
was
does the
using
card
skin,
art
and I
is
was happy.
obviously
So,
god
well, my
tier.
team
True.
wasn't, but
Please
I-
look
I
like
mean,
this.
you know my taste.
Okay.
in skins.
There it is.
I like the scary. I like the spooky. He's
Yep.
got look at that mouth.
That
Oh my
just
god.
Yeah.
It is.
it's gonna
Which-
be
wait,
so
which
strange to
mouth?
see Naja running around as
all of
this.
them. The ones on his shoulders, on his legs, on his stomach, and his face, mouth.
okay,
Oh,
that
and his spear
Spear,
mouth.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lots of.
I think the universe ring also has a few mouths on it.
That's just a hungry little guy.
Yeah, he's just hungry. You know, he's gonna find a way to satiate that hunger for souls,
Yeah,
and he
that's-
certainly will be.
That's more Halloween candy, and definitely not candy corn because that's terrible.
No, inedible.
Okay,
inedible.
okay, hold on.
It's
hold
inedible.
Can't hold on. I'm
It's
gonna move on
delicious.
to the next test. Wow. All right. You gonna out yourself like that in front of everybody?
I don't think it's outing myself. It's true.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, next up we have another chest. The
We're not gonna
Mr.
see any of these
Cosmic chest
abilities.
with Galactic Gentleman Yu Huang.
We
Yeah,
just
this is doing it for me.
This is okay.
Yeah.
No bias, but also really biased.
Nope.
He looks really, really cool. The slick and like what would you even call it? Like futuristic, like businessman.
Yeah.
Like he's going on some ventures that he's gonna get back and be rich from.
Yes.
You'll never see me hate on a dome helmet. And we were talking before the show. Here's a little dev insight. We were talking before the show about wardrobes and
this
outfits.
is Yu Wong.
And I said that
It
I
does
don't
look
very
like an
often,
Olaron
I don't
card
just
art.
spend money. Like I don't react or splurge, I guess, very often. I see that outfit on the shelf. I'm buying it right away. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I'm not going to a formal occasion or space, but like, no, I'm buying it right away.
Yeah, and it fits like, having the suit and the tie. Like Yu Huang is a very upright character. His pose is always very proper and very good posture.
I'm gonna see this in game.
So
I think it's all around.
That
100%.
gentlemanly vibe fits him very well.
Yeah, the character reads really well, and the back piece as well is a super awesome feature because he normally has this really intricate jade back piece on the base character, but this time it's got this like cosmic black hole vibe to it that I think fits really well without being like too distracting, over the top. He's stylish, but not overindulgent.
It has so much depth, the back piece, for being flat. Like it has depth and is flat at the exact same time, which is really, really cool.
So overall, super awesome, and again, available through the Mr. Cosmic chest. Last but not least, I'm really excited to talk about this one. We have one more skin, and it's Devil Tamer Loki.
Ooh.
Now, this isn't in a chest. You're not going to find this in the store anywhere. You're
Just realized no cool gods got skins off of these. Like
Play
last
10
7
games.
skins.
It's not rocket science. Just play 10 games of Smite. We're doing a giveaway, everybody's been walking up to the door, knock knock, trick or treat. We ran out of candy. We were like, what's better
Whoever
than candy?
decides this stuff, by the way, is a bad person.
For this
Hey,
next update, all you have
We
to
need
do is
you
play
to go
10
plan
games.
out a
You're gonna
free
get this
skin after 10 games.
free.
What god should we do it on?
Just a little gift, a little
Fucking
giveaway for us to
Loki?
do, 'cause
You want people to
season
play
of
Loki
fun,
after 10
spooky
games.
skins, and this one really brings it home.
Yeah, I'll say. This is super cool. I feel like they are pandering to me.
This
a little
Odyssey
bit with
has
the
been
card
really
art, having
bad.
Some lightning on it.
Even the
and I am
Medusa
gobbling it
Odyssey
up
skin
whole.
is low
I
tier
love
as
it.
fuck.
Yeah,
Like
the card art, the skin,
borderline
it's
the
all
Bologna, as bad as the
adore this
Bologna
color
tier
scheme,
5.
honestly, just the monochrome with a touch of gold. It's just absolutely perfect.
There's very few things that you can't add a touch of gold to that aren't just chef's kiss.
Yep.
So, absolutely excited for it. And again, for just one more time to really drive it home, just play 10 games of Smite. Grab your buddies on a weekend, play some games of Smite, earn a free skin, have a good time.
I'm not excited about any skins so
That will do
far.
it
I
for this skin
know.
section. Some cool things to look forward to, and of course we have. Some
I
more
know the
skins coming up. You
RuneScape
already
skins
know
have
it's a
2 or 3
RuneScape
cool
show.
skins
We'll
in
get
them.
there. But now we got some real
Maybe they have
meaty
2.
stuff to dive into here. We got some balance. All right. This is the part where I talk less and they talk.
This
more.
is. I was worried this is
I
gonna
guess
be
we'll just kick
very
it off, starting
lackluster,
with
so I
some
hope I'm
conquest
wrong.
Balance, specifically focus on the Titan.
Yeah, so the Titan in previous years of Smite,
What?
Yeah.
there has been some feedback that you go through this epic battle, you kill all the towers, and then the Titan's just there and is not as threatening as a Titan potentially should be.
What?
So, when unleashing the Titans and in a bunch of changes over the years, we've gradually added more threats.
This makes
to the
no
Titans
sense. This
and
comes
allowed
out of
them to
fucking
be
nowhere.
more
Like
combat
this,
savvy
there's
in their
no.
own way.
This makes no sense.
And we just feel like where they are right now, particularly in base, in defending themselves against gods that are
Titans
attacking them,
die
minions that are
fast
attacking
as
them,
shit right
they're
now,
just
and they're
doing
gonna
a
die
little
even
bit
faster
Too much damage and too
because they're
wide
gonna
of an
do
area.
less damage, so
we're
people are gonna have to be
just
running out
reducing
less.
their power, and that when they slam down and hits that AOE, that AOE is just going to be a little bit smaller moving forward.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be a
This
big
is just
difference,
weird.
but just makes it so that you're trying. If your melee characters or multiple melee characters are trying to end the game and they have to tank the Titan.
Stand
it's pretty
behind
much
the
impossible
Titan.
to
No,
do so right now without
Stand
taking a ton
behind
of
the
damage. So we're
Titan.
trying to make that a little easier.
Yeah, essentially
Impossible,
how this
you
radius
stand
change is
behind
working is that
him.
The Titan attacks in a cone.
It's like
Think of it
standard
like
boss
you've
fight
taken the
from any
crust
MMO
off your
ever.
pizza. We've taken the crust back in a little bit. So it still hits in the cone, just as a cone shot, everything in that cone gets damaged, but again, bringing that in a little bit.
Cone without the crust. Understand. That's food related. I can get behind.
this makes makes
You
no
can
sense
thank
for
Ro
that
for
to be a
that.
change,
That's how
and
he
it's
explains it.
annoying because I feel like the Titan dies
Next
too
up,
fast
we're diving
currently.
into items, starting with Demon Blade. Looks like it's getting a little sharper.
We're not buffing
so
Demon
Chris has been an
Blade.
interesting topic.
You're not buffing
nowadays,
Demon.
As it always is, I suppose.
Always.
But Demon Blade has kind of not lived up to snuff, and so we have definitely seen this item do very well. It has been kind of
Arguably
previously
one of Smite's best
one-stop
items
shop
of
for
all
everything
time.
because it's got the pad attack,
Wasn't
the
built
power,
for the
it has
last, like,
everything,
6
So we
months,
want to make sure
so
that
they want
we're
it to be
still
built at
feeling good
Worlds.
about that passive, and we do feel good about the passive. It's more so the base stats. Considering it is a little bit of a luxury item, we want to make sure that the base stats are still living up to that luxury price tag.
This makes no sense
Next
at
up,
all to
slightly
buff.
smaller than a blade, a dagger, the Eldritch Dagger.
Yes, but equally evil.
Equally evil.
in this instance. Yeah, so Eldritch Dagger, was one of the newer glyphs that we added alongside.
Like nobody wants to build this because
Relic
breastplate is
Dagger,
better.
and we've
Upgrade
seen a
better,
good
and
amount
then
of pick
Pridwood
up
is
rate
better.
on Witch Dagger and Success, the Witchblade passive on Relic Dagger. Eldritch Dagger does something that is very unique in giving you vision opportunities and gives you an opportunity to get a ton of protections if you're building a lot of them.
Yeah.
But that duration just isn't quite long enough. So we didn't feel like we wanted to increase the potency of an already pretty potent buff.
Nobody builds this item because other
So
items
now
are just more
hopefully it
useful.
feels more noticeable. Activate those relics, get a lot tankier, be more useful for your team.
Yeah, sounds like the win to me. And the difference between the types of evil, because they both are evil. The
Yep.
Demon Blade, a little more knowable. Eldritch Blade, very unknowable.
True.
Very.
Very.
Almost unfathomable.
What is it?
So Erosion up next on the list.
Yeah, so shields are always, again, like crit, an ever-present discussion in
Ever-present.
Smite balance. It really
Oh
never goes
God,
away.
move her mic away,
and especially
please.
with Charon coming out semi-recently,
Pee
right? So he
poppin',
was
dude.
another big shielder
Yep.
in the roster. So we wanted to make sure that the counter options were still feeling good. That was kind of, again, our going back and checking up on these systems, whether it be crit, whether it be shielding, and more stuff as you'll see coming forward. But for Erosion specifically, we thought it was just a little bit too out of that box. It wasn't really doing what it was supposed to.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty
So
sure
to
they're
fix it,
buffing
we
this
brought down
because
the cost
Nike
just a
and
hair
Geb
for
have really
people.
high win rates.
And we're also increasing the range to match our other aura radiuses. Like Pestilence is another really common anti-heal, like kind of in that same vein.
Yeah.
Right? So now
I'm
those
pretty sure they
two,
had just buffed the range of
sizes will
Erosion
match,
too, like 2
so
patches
you
ago.
kind of not have to worry about juggling between these two different ranges.
Yeah.
If you have
Oh,
the
and
same items.
Yamoja. Yeah. Fey Hooves,
Cool.
Yamoja is
So
nuts.
Next up, Odibo. Looks like the speed just going up a little bit.
Yeah, Odysseus Bow we've seen a lot of discussion on recently.
Put it back to 40.
This
Revert
item
it. Revert the
does
old
something
nerf.
for hunters and no other item does. It just makes their damage more area based.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very
So that's
powerful
that's a
effect
double hunter buff.
that is intentionally
Whether
typically a weakness for
Demon
hunters
Blade
if
becomes
you're doing
meta
a single target
or
maybe
not,
some
it's
more
still a double
AoE.
hunter buff so far.
If every hunter can build Odysseus Bow and feel extremely strong, then all of a sudden
We've
you
seen
use
hunter
mages,
buff,
you
and we've
know,
seen
all that type of
throws
stuff.
everything
So
back.
we
Nerfs
have to be
to
very
shields.
careful with how much power we want to give this item in general. But we've just seen a lot of discussion that it just isn't up to snuff, especially after a long round of nerfs a long time ago. Just making it a little bit more cost efficient, giving it some more attack speed, letting it lean into what it does.
I don't
which
get
is
these
really
hunter
a lot of
buffs.
attack speed, a
It
little
does
bit.
do one thing.
Unless they're
Enough
gonna
attack
nerf
speed.
like Fail
Attack
Not or
speed
something, so people won't build Fail Not anymore.
I've heard a lot of people recently say Shadow Drinker in this economy, but looks like it's not going to be a problem anymore, huh?
Yeah, so
Reduce
Shadow
calls.
Drinker is a really interesting concept and theme.
Shadow
item.
Drinker is still
It does have a very cool name. That's
a
true.
pub
But
stomp
it's just a little bit
ranked
too inefficient
item.
at its price point to
Its
really
passive
justify
is
picking
basically
it, because a lot of
worthless.
the characters that want this, especially because the item is flat pen, you want to get it early. But you're also kind of like, well, I kind of want Golden Blade. I kind of maybe want Atlantis Bow. There's a lot of options
the
there. So you're
problem
trying
with
to
that
make it more
item
competitive,
is
and
the
by putting it at
fact
this
that
lower
its
price point,
passive is
it's going to
worthless
be
and
more
its stats aren't enough for you to build
Sounds
it.
good. So Soul Gem is next on the docket, and again, kind of seeing a cost adjustment along with some other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Soul Gem, another one of those items that's had its time
Okay.
in the sun pretty
That's
significantly.
good
time.
and
bit
scary.
It's been a little bit, so it just needs a little bit of a cost decrease and then increasing that magical power. When we did a lot of the tier 3 item stat shifts a long time, not that long ago, I suppose. But
That's gotta be a
in the
lot
grand
better
scheme,
now
a couple
than
metas ago,
Soul Reaver
some of
every
these
game
items just ended
because
up
you can kill
not
squishies easier with this
retaining
item.
their strength quite as well as we would have liked. And Soul
Patch
Gem
is
just one of
strange
those
so
we feel
far,
like could
guys.
be
I was
built out.
expecting nothing.
Got it. So here's an OG item that I've
This is
always
just
been a
buffs
fan
in a
of,
weird
especially
way.
already in player, but Stone of Gaia looks like it's kind of shaking it
No
up a little bit.
fucking.
Yes. So again, we go back to the old counter
The old
item.
your item.
So essentially,
power
what we were
up?
noticing is that, there are characters out there, especially in the meta right now, that do have a lot of knockouts, but even though those characters are in the meta, Stone of Gaia isn't. And you're like, if there's any time for it to be meta, this is the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so essentially what we had decided is that, yes, it's very good defensively, and it's great to heal you when, you're getting affected by these things.
course.
But it's also not really doing anything for you to retaliate,
Yeah.
other than I'm healthy.
Why are we getting
Still
15
alive.
power
So what we had
on a
decided to do
tank
is add a
item?
new feature to Stone of Gaia that when you are
This is
affected by
this is
the
what we've
old
had a problem with
knock
for
up, knock
years.
back, pull, or grab, you'll be able to gain some physical or magical power depending on, what you use.
Right.
Yeah, well, if I got knock up, knock back, pulled or grabbed, I'd be angry too. I'd be ready to swing back. So sounds good. So alternate timeline. It looks like in the new timeline you're a little healthier, a little more mana.
Yeah, so another one of those
What
items that
the
we were really excited
fuck?
about, but it's this is a mechanic that is scary to especially to release
What
very strong. And
the
we've given it
fuck
marginal buffs
is
along the
this?
way, and we feel pretty comfortable with the opportunity to see it become more prevalent pickup. You know, just so often you get your alternate timeline proc. It's such a long cooldown, so you're really only getting one use most of the time in a game.
Fuck.
And then you just respawn, and you're so weak that you just instantly die again.
Yeah.
We don't want to make it a guaranteed safe respawn for you, but should be a pretty noticeable
you're not
buff from
saying that's
25%
sick.
to 40%.
Yeah.
When
that'll
you lose a
definitely do it.
fight
So
because
that gives you a
somebody
little more
fucking
edge
has
in your
alternative
back end.
timeline and they should have died and the game should be
So last
over,
but
you're
not
gonna be
least, a
baby
little bit of a
raging.
Pivot here to an item nerf. We have Soul Eater.
Yes, so this item is seen in quite a lot of places, mostly on assassins and almost certainly on your assassin mids.
Yeah.
So essentially our goal
What?
here with this nerf is to not necessarily
What
diminish
is
the
this
power
patch,
of Soul Eater,
bro?
but diminish the speed at which you're
What
getting
is
Soul
this
Eater.
patch,
Because
bro?
essentially what's happening is mages are generally a scaling class. There are some mages, of
It's
course,
so
that
weird
because
Soul Eater is targeted at like 4
Your
gods.
mages are going to be swinging in the late game. This item allows for your assassins that are showing up
Set,
against them to have
Wukong,
even more of an advantage than
Pele,
they already do, especially considering the
Bastet.
assassin class bonus as well with that penetration.
Like,
It's
who
just
else
getting
is
them online
building
a little
this?
bit too quickly. So ideally, we're slowing them down just by a little bit, and then they'll be a little bit more equal.
There you go. Love it. All right. Well, that is going to do it for items. This
Oh,
time around,
that's
but we got
it?
the gods coming up now. We got gods to talk about, and we're going to start off with some buffs. We're going to see who got stronger with this patch, starting with a Wheelix and specifically Suku.
Yeah, so Wheelix has received a couple buffs somewhat recently, and she's really close to where we want her to be, but feel like she could just use one last little
more
tap to get her in the right spot. And something that we have been trying
5%
to
movement speed
lean into a little
to
bit more
Suku.
overall is character identity and reinforcing that character identity where we can.
Okay, got it.
And, you know, when you think of a Wheelix, I think of anti-jump
this isn't
character
bad.
and Suku, you know, moving around the map,
But
hopping on, hopping off.
Is it gonna make her a top 5
Just wanna
jungler?
Reinforce that. Let her use that strength a little
Oh.
bit more. Get to more fights more often because when she's there, she's usually performing pretty well.
Yeah, it's just about getting there. Well, cool. I think that's fun. Like you said, a really cool nod to the character identity.
Yep.
So next up,
Wheelix is a cool
favorite
god.
of mine, Cthulhu, getting a little love.
Yes, this is kind of a two-pronged
this
attack
god.
onto Cthulhu's weaknesses.
Delete him
So the
from
first
the
one is
game.
the Mire, which started at 18 seconds, which is kind of unfathomably long for a base
Fathomable,
ability.
you say?
Yes.
Well,
Cthulhu.
because you think about it, there are other abilities in the game that are crazy
Yeah.
powerful, like Merlin's blink ability, for example. That's
True,
like
that's-
22 seconds, which
yeah.
is like close to this, but like the fact that this is even on the same like playing field is a little bit
it's a
ridiculous.
little- okay.
So we're bringing it down to 14 seconds at all ranks, which is a very big buff for that level
large,
1.
yeah.
Large, just like Cthulhu, especially in his ultimate, which is also getting buff.
Nice.
And this has more so to do with the recent changes to health values overall. With Cthulhu, getting affected by that, especially because he's getting less health from his items, he can now kind of safely go back up to that higher health value on Descent into Madness because he's just getting less than before. So he got kind of inadvertently big nerfed from that giant nerf that we did across the board.
Yeah. Well, cool. Hey, love being big, love throwing the mire, so it's going to be a win for me. You're going to be seeing me play that a lot. Cupid next up, moving from the big to the really tiny. Next up with a couple buffs as well.
Yes, Cupid, one of those gods that just an OG Smite god,
Honestly,
has a very unique type of play style. And
quality
Share
of
the
life
Love,
buff.
The 2 is just this ability that provides.
Are they gonna
sustain,
buff
but
the
there's
clear?
always some
The fact that they
tension
started
on,
with the 2
am I
tells
supposed
me
to
they're
grab
not
this if I'm
buffing Cupid clear.
Or like if I'm supporting Cupid in lane, he uses his 2. Does he want me to take it?
Yeah.
Does he want all 3? Where do we want to do? How do we want to split these? Now we're trying to make sure that tension isn't as big of a deal. Playing with or as Cupid. So now if your ally picks up a heart, he's going to get 60% of the value. And that will scale. And because it's increased healing with his passive, it also works with that as well.
Okay, awesome.
Which is really cool. And then Flutter, this is a free attack speed buff that he gets just from ranking this ability. And just felt like it wasn't quite being as noticeable as it could be. This is a feature
Better
number that has
late
been tweaked a lot
game,
over the
level
years.
20, but still
Cupid,
terrible
'cause free
laning
stats
phase.
are obviously very potent.
Oh, yeah.
But
There's still no
just felt
clear.
like he was in a position where he could get back
Like
towards
negative
those
clear.
stronger numbers.
Like the worst clear in the
Awesome.
fucking
Hey, I'm
game.
all for it. And like you said, it removes that tension of you throw down the deployables, then you jump, like, grab it.
Yeah,
Please.
for you.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
They've already fucked with this
next up,
passive, so
Hera.
reworking it would have to be a full
I've always been
rework.
afraid of Hera personally. Super fun to play. Like, love Argus, but Hera is scary, so, you know.
She definitely can be. She's kind of in the same boat as a Wheelix, where she's received a couple
That
buffs over the
too
past
hits
few months,
hard
but
as
she's still
fuck.
just a hair away
That
from a
ability
number
hits
that we
so
would like her to be
fucking
at.
hard, bro.
So what we're doing
I mean,
here
it's
is we're giving her a little bit
85%
more
scaling.
base damage and scaling on Polymorph, kind of split effectiveness between those two numbers, a little bit of both, as you might say. And then, of course, Divine Shroud, which is her safety. She, as we have seen, is a very dying character.
Yes.
She does, when she goes in, she goes crazy, and then Argus, may fall over, and then after that, she's kind of went on the way out.
Later.
Yep.
So we're trying to give her a little bit more access to safety, and by doing that, we are decreasing the cooldown of Divine Shroud from
Yeah, I
16
wonder if there's
raw
gonna be a
ranks
way to make
go down
timeline
as you
work
rank
with
it
her.
to 14 seconds.
Cool. That makes sense. So next up, another one I've always been a big fan of, Hunbots. Just one of the more enjoyable.
Holy
for me,
fuck, is
amazing
Hunbots
roles.
gonna be
Super
playable
cool,
again?
Getting some buffs. as well.
Yeah, first and foremost, really
Never
easy.
mind.
This is a character that's always had
Scratch
some
what
amount
I
of mana
said.
issues. Transcendence or Hydras have been really core parts of his build in order to
that.
counteract that. You can still go those items. They're still good on him. But if you don't want to, for whatever reason, giving him some MP5 buffs. He was in the lower end of the Assassin class, so had some room there. Somersault. This
one?
way back when our old Season 1, Season 2 SPL viewers might remember Somersault being a super OP kill tool at like level 2 because it was like a 50% slow.
Yeah, it was
Very
busted as
crazy.
That
fuck.
cooldown
You
is
jump
kind of
on
still
somebody and
held
just
over
auto them
from
to
that
death.
really strong identity. We still want to scale it down. 11 seconds for a leap that does have damage and a slow is pretty strong in the late game, but doesly need to be quite as long in the early.
That's a good change, actually.
And then the change that I think I'm the most excited about is Fear No Evil. This ultimate scales with ranks as you put points into it harder than almost any ultimate in the entire game because it already goes down in cooldown and goes
50
up
at all
in
ranks
duration.
is
The
pretty
totem
big
will
too.
stay there longer, which means more pulses, more ticks.
In
of
my
damage,
opinion, they should change
longer
Hunbat's
fear
ult to
duration,
not be a
total.
pulse, and it should just be like
But it
a
was
constant
also
CC.
scaling up in damage with points as well. But it was kind of doing so twice because if the duration's going up, that means your damage is going up. So we don't need to be doing both. You know what I mean?
Realistically,
and the
on a
CC
kill
is
target,
oftentimes
it's
the thing that
probably
matters
an
the most about Fear No
extra.
Evil. That's a riskier change.
Like,
in order
or
to let
your
it be
level
the
1
same
ult's
duration
gonna
of
do
all
an
ranks.
extra like
We can just let it do
80
the same
damage,
amount of
maybe.
damage at all ranks, and it's still
Maybe.
incredibly important to get your points into it.
I agree. That's super, super awesome.
Which is good
And,
because I
I'm
mean,
excited
80
to
extra
drop that
damage
one
is
too. It's just
another
such a fun
auto
build
or
to
whatever,
get.
but
so
it's
good.
nothing
So next
crazy.
up is actually one of the more. I don't know. I've always loved the style. E-Shell is up next, and I love the rainbows. They're like, it's one
mean,
of those where if there's an E-Shelling,
I gotta say, Harrison, I think you're onto something.
I'm getting comboed, but at least it's pretty. And it's a little
All right,
blind
that's
hit,
a
and
big
obviously
buff.
it's just,
If you close your eyes, you don't get blinded.
That's actually a
Like
big
IRL?
buff. It seems minor, but it's really
You just
big
keep your eyes
buff.
closed.
Pro strats. This is you learn.
Is that a relic that I can
The
use?
enhanced
Close my
autos
eyes?
felt like
Yeah,
shit on
yep,
her.
You can.
That's how I play most.
It also works.
I think
if
her
you block
mic
it.
is the staticky one because it's touching her
Oh,
face.
well, you don't get stunned by it anymore, which I still don't remember.
Nope.
You know? So I'm still. And you keep going.
Yep.
All these years
Maybe
later,
his
still doing
too,
it.
but I think it's
anyway,
hers.
E-Shell.
His might be touching his
Yeah, why
beard.
don't I let you take this one?
Sure,
I think
yeah.
the order too.
Yeah, fair enough. That'll actually work out better here in a minute, anyways. So yeah, her passive Rainbow Weaver.
She's getting buffed because bad
we got
players
it
can't
into a
play her.
really amazing
Her positioning
spot,
is too important.
in how it feels to use. The animation of the spin.
sub-diamond players
the
just die on her
flat
out too much.
disc projectile looks unbelievable and feels really fun to use, but it still didn't feel different enough from her typical basic attacks.
Yeah.
And it is actually, if you can figure out a way to maximize using this passive, it ends up doing a lot for you in the team fights. But it wasn't feeling quite different enough. There wasn't quite enough emphasis on it. And so we have a couple knobs that we could turn on it to make it feel a little bit more unique from her basic attacks. So now it's going to have increased range. And 70 is the range of her ultimate. So it's a nice, easy, that's a number that you should get comfortable with as an E-Shell player in general.
Yeah.
Now you can hit those further long hits. And if it's traveling at the same speed, going that much farther, it just felt a little slow. So we're also increasing its projectile speed in order to make it feel more snappy
man.
at all ranges, but in particular if you're trying to snipe someone with that basic attack, particularly after the ultimate, they're getting out of range, you can cancel the ultimate, it full charges your passive automatically, you can whip it at them. And it's felt really, really fun, really, really cool. So excited about that. And then the number one piece of feedback that we've gotten from E-Shell is she just dies too easily sometimes, and she has really good tools to survive in comparison to some other mages. She's got great movement speed on the 3. The 2 is a heal and a knock-up.
Yeah.
But the ultimate, you just end up being a little bit too vulnerable, in particular if your team isn't there or playing very well around letting you get the double hit to extend the duration and heal yourself. So this has been a very common suggestion from the community. We're happy to implement it here. She will now gain some damage mitigation in that ultimate.
Got it. Love the survivability. That's such a fun ult to throw too, especially
Yep.
like that feeling of
That's a
getting
big
lining
buff.
up allies
That's-
and the enemies in a team fight and just letting
That's
it go
a
for the
big
whole
buff.
time.
Yeah, it's my mic,
I don't
never
know,
in a
I
million
managed
years.
to score the achievement.
They
not
re-
to brag,
hold on.
and,
Nice.
How did ECHL get mitigation on her movable
Up
immunity
next,
channeling
two
ult?
things, Slipstream and Whirlwind.
And then we have like
Yeah, so
Ymir
first thing on
Assault
Cuckoo
still
is
in the
that,
game.
Slipstream is a very interesting ability because it had previously. We're changing this now.
Yes.
It had
Watch out.
cleansed slows when you used it, but the thing is that when Cuckoo uses this
That's a
ability,
nice change.
he goes into this
Quality
kind
of
of
life,
state.
but nice.
He has extra effects that
He
play on
wiggles,
him.
he slithers.
Yeah, he does a little wiggle, right? So
I
it
want
kind
Ymir
of
to
was
move in
like,
his
why
ult? I
is
do,
this
yeah.
ability that he's like still doing in animation.
I think Ymir might
not still
be
granting him the benefit.
most
So
worthless
we
god
have
in the game.
extended that
Not just
slow
bad
cleanse to
because of
be a slow
numbers, like
immunity
worthless.
for the whole duration of Slipstream.
Ooh, that's cool.
And then up next as well, we've got Whirlwind, which is just getting a little bit of increased scaling. 2% might
We're
not look like that
buffing
much, but
my
considering
main
every
mid
single
god. Let's
tick,
go.
Tick, yeah.
it's quite a lot.
Let's go.
That's one of those abilities where as soon as it lands, I'm like, nope. Even when it's on my team, the knee jerk reaction is go around it. I don't care. I don't want this tornado. So next up, Maui. So somebody you
Wow,
might know a
such
little bit.
another really cool god. That's such a coincidence.
Why are we buffing
yeah,
Maui
Master
when
Fisherman,
Ymir
that's the one.
exists?
Yeah.
It is a very potent tool
That
when
is
you're
a
landing
crazy
it, but
quality of life change
Maui
too. What the fuck is this
really
patch?
slowed while he's pulling someone back, and he's just sick of pretending that these other gods are heavy.
That
Like
heavy, yeah.
they really aren't.
He's reeling up islands. Like,
Yeah,
Oh, your
he's
ass is
like-
getting
he's
pulled
been-
halfway
he's been
down the lane by
trying
Maui
not to
now.
show
Good luck.
off, but he's kind of sick of doing that. So now he can just move more freely
Okay.
while he's either as you fire the one, even before it's hit, you get self-slowed. And then while you're reeling them back in. Now, that doesn't mean that you can drag people super far.
Yeah.
It just means that he's less vulnerable during that time.
No, you're
when he's
dragging him
keeping
farther.
Crowd control,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
which
have a
has
little
felt
more
quite good.
maneuverability.
Exactly. And then Landfall, easily one of the most impactful ultimates in the
Holy
game. We don't want to give him
fuck.
too much access to it early on in the games. This was
This is such
was a nerf that
dog
he got
shit.
after the incredible performance by Genetics and the Kings, and,
Yeah.
and really in multiple players' hands, but in particular the Kings. Now we can let him get more access to it as the game goes on.
Yeah.
Because it is, while very potent, not the easiest ability to land all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Want to give him more opportunities to use it. So now Landfall is just going to, instead of be 110 seconds at all ranks, just scale down 5 seconds per rank and land at that 90-second mark at level 20.
Yeah, that sounds. And I mean, hey, more big ults in the late game. Nothing wrong with that. Those are playmaker
Yeah.
ults.
I agree.
All right, so next up, we were talking classics with Cupid. Another classic here, Neath, one of the OGs of Smite.
Unravel is a very fun ability, but it is very risky to use because it's got a long cast time, but it has a very, very big payoff if you can hit it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've been finding that for
What?
the most part, this has been doing a solid job. During
How is it
the mid-game
risky
and
to
early game.
spam your
Not so
two?
good during the late game though. Having your hunter tied up, casting an ability can feel kind of not great. So we want to make sure that if you are doing it, you're doing it at a proper time, and when you actually do hit it, it's going to reward you a lot more. So essentially, what's happening here is that Neath is getting more scaling on this ability because she tends to be an ability hunter for the most part, one of those mage hunters, you might say. So more scaling is going to help her a lot on that, and as well as she's also getting in.
To put it in a perspective, at full build, that's like an extra 80 damage to the ability.
Here, and then the weave heal.
For whatever reason, they added like 80 to 100 extra damage to the
A
ability.
little bit more sustain for Neath, and that's hopefully going to kind of give her a little bit in the early
They
game.
all
but
they also said using this ability is risky. It's a spammable ability with no risk
Osiris
involved
next
at
up,
all.
And admittedly, I hate to have to say this on live Twitch, a character I don't play very often. So,
you might want to after this.
all right, we'll get into it. then.
You should. Osiris is super fun. Unfortunately, he's not been winning a whole lot recently. He got a ton of buffs in the spicy god, at the
Yeah,
beginning
that
of
crazy
Season of
shit.
Celebration. I believe his win rate actually went down, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
because more players were playing him, and he's a difficult god, even though he
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it on the surface. And he was not seeing as much success as we were hoping for. So when that happens, we go, we've got to really give him
do
something.
we
So
do?
it seems like a lot, especially on the back of a lot recently, but he's deserving of it by every measure.
I think it's items are the problem with
now
the Warriors still.
We wanted to be conservative with this number because we were concerned that this could be what potentially makes him.
You can play
very, very
full
strong,
tank,
is
all
just
like
giving
6
him
tank
a really
items,
good way to
ability
do it.
warriors do a shit ton of
He was a little
damage.
bit too
Or
low
you
on
could
the
play
number of
really
minions, so
squishy
we're
hybrid
buffing that up.
AA
That should
warriors.
help
It
us
just
clear
logic
and
isn't there.
pretty significantly, through the wave. Judgment Tether.
AA warriors just don't do
one
well
of
with
the
full
best
tank builds
normal
usually.
abilities in the entire
Unless
game,
they buff the
but
right items.
difficult to use the right times,
Yeah.
especially for the majority of our players. So just giving them more opportunities to do it.
Yeah, I think the other thing you should mention here is that this ability doesn't go on cooldown until it's completely done. Even if you hit no one, it still stays off cooldown until it's
Tally, their
completely
mics
done.
are
And it's a long
fucked.
channel
Something's
time,
wrong with their
12
mics.
seconds. So
Really wrong with their mics.
It is not going to be up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
More
secret 18, 19 second cooldown. that
Yes.
Isn't actually really.
And deserving when it works, you're like, oh, I get it. But
It might be his mic.
otherwise can be tough.
I can barely hear him talking.
And the Lord of the Afterlife, is such a iconic ability and has one of the most clear debuff representations
20% negative
of any
cooldown
game of all
reduction?
time. Having
I feel like
the-
they'd have done
the
more by
ghost
making it all
spirit above
easier to
your head
hit. Most people
would
miss
mean,
their OSI
I know
results.
that I can't heal during that time is what it's always been for Lord of the Afterlife. And we felt like it would be, that when it was first introduced way back when Osiris was first released, that was a fairly niche effect that allowed him to be very good in certain
Does this stack with
situations.
Abyssal?
And it felt kind of thematic.
If this stacks with Abyssal,
10 years later, basically,
okay.
to give him another niche effect
Yeah.
that is somewhat hard to come by in Smite, which is that negative cooldown reduction.
That is
So now it's very clear. My cooldowns are going to be longer if I use them whenever I've got that spirit above my head, and just allow him to be a little bit more impactful in those team fights.
Yeah, that's like you said. That's a relatively rare mechanic, so it'll.
It must
definitely,
stack.
You're gonna want to be careful. If
It's
you're
gotta
affected with
stack.
the Ghost. Yep. So next up, our boy Ratatosker, coming down from the tree, grabbing.
All right, Rat is fine. This
All right,
is if
I
this is
know-
a buff.
I know what you guys are thinking. I know.
They're
okay?
buffing
Listen,
Solo Rat.
We are not buffing the Ratatosker that is good right now.
Yes.
We're
The item
buffing
you see on
Solo
your
Rat.
screen, that is
No one buys it.
No, that is not bought. The difference between a Ratatosker that buys the 2 acorns that are good for him, whether that's the double spin one or the mini nut acorn, and the other 2 that he has is humongous, gigantic difference between the win rates. So essentially, Ratatosker as a character is good when you buy the good nuts. When you buy the bad nuts, he's a bad character. So we're trying to squish it in a little bit so that the worst ones are not as bad. So what are we doing to Evergreen, which is the heal acorn? This one is now also getting increased max health from the 10% value that it was at before to 15%. This is kind of along the similar lines of Cthulhu, where this item was inadvertently, well, not necessarily inadvertently, but it was affected by the nerfs going into the health decrease across the board. And then Bristlebush, which is
This
the crit
acorn is trash. Don't get me wrong.
has a special feature on it that increases your dart damage, and this is going to get that increased by another 5% as well.
They're trying to get the crit acorn
One of
to
those
get
fun
bigger
characters
one
that
crits.
keeps, like,
But
buy these
5%
special
is not
items,
enough.
Your build, but yeah, it's definitely leaned towards the 2. So hey, you know what? Tank Ratatosker on them for it. So next up, Scylla, just one of the classics.
What?
Yeah, one of the OGs for sure. One of the most hype characters to watch. on Smite.
Oh, baby.
5 ults off,
Seems
like,
minor, but that's actually a big quality of life change.
Yeah, you won for sure. But her early game is definitely.
Are they gonna
her
buff her
weakness,
3
and
or her
like I
ult
was talking about earlier,
as
we are
well?
trying to be very cognizant of character identity. We've seen a lot of success from enhancing character strengths, even when they're already.
no,
very
Scylla
good at
does
that.
not
Something
need
like
this. You are
Arachne,
correct.
Getting tools to be even better in her 1v1 instead of just improving where she's necessarily super weak has been pretty successful for these characters. And we don't want to just make Scylla's early game so easy and good that she gets that incredibly potent late game, because then we have to end up nerfing that late game, and Scylla players are like, hey, this is why I play this character.
Yeah.
Why did you upset the balance of power?
Yeah, we want to keep it fun.
Exactly. So we want to give her some more early game utility, both for her team and for herself. So Scylla is a combo-oriented character. You want to use your Sikkim, you want to drop your crush, you want to get up into your ultimate, and then detonate the crush as you chomp, basically all at the same time.
big boom.
Exactly. When you didn't have enough points in Sikkim, it threw off your combo timing. And Scylla, the true Scylla mains out there, had to know how much time do I have to execute my combo at 5 different ranks of the ability.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of burden.
It's a lot. Yeah.
And playing with her in mid. If you're a jungler main and you've got a Scylla in mid, you're like, great, we can't fight.
There's a lot
around
of
this
talk
character
over
at all
a
because she's so weak.
0.5 second
Now
or
getting
6 second gain
more
on
uniform root duration on Sikkim, we think should help her pretty significantly in just her usefulness to herself and her team in the early game without directly buffing her damage during that time.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I always love too, and this is just a commentary on the game in general. I love how
Quality
you
of
can,
life change on their
you
mics.
have your plan for your combo, and that happens in 1.7 seconds. You know, even at max rank, like to think that in less than 2 seconds, your brain is like hit this.
3
lens,
minute
do this, do that.
conversation on
Man, video
0.6
games are
second
crazy.
root addition.
Playing them for 25 years, and I still think that. So to go
That's it?
less 25 years, more like 10 or closer. Sylvanas, one of the like always been a favorite of mine.
thought they would do something else to Scylla.
Seeing a little love here.
So we were just talking about character identity.
Yep.
Sylvanas is that he's quite opposite of Scylla in that he has an insane early game and falls off quite a lot towards the late game.
Yep.
So essentially, his new passive from the one prior has changed to kind of have the cooldown reduction, which is great.
This
that
is
has helped him out
worthless.
quite a lot in the late game.
Yeah, he's very good there now.
We still think he needs a little bit
This
more
is
help in that
worthless.
direction, especially because he is a rather immobile
is fucking
character.
worthless.
He needs just a little bit more kind of, not necessarily guarantee, but more tools
Yep.
in that function. So what we've done is we've added an additional 5% protection reduction on Verdant Gross Explosion. So this happens when an enemy either kills your pod or you actually hit someone with the pod. They get this debuff applied to them. So 5%, not a crazy amount, but it is on top of the 5 flat that you get.
Yeah.
So
Not
it is
literally
a nice
worthless, but
addition
this
there.
is
And then on top of that as well,
Strange.
Wisps is getting a decrease in cooldown from 16 seconds flat to 14 seconds flat. So again, this is very nice in the early game when you still, are able to use it and, move up, especially when we changed him recently to be able to use it on minions again, which was crazy. I still can't
Yep.
believe we did that.
Yep.
But
That's one of the
now
most
it's up a little
enjoyable-
more often.
It's one of the most enjoyable things about doing it too. Is you go into this minion wave, you have your laner there, you hit it, you watch all the little wisps go, and you're like, I'm doing my part.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was fun.
I've done my job.
Yep.
Then you miss a hook, and it is what it is. But all right, so next up, ULLR. There's a lot of changes here.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Let's
Ooh.
dive
Break it
in,
down.
shall we?
Yeah,
So first and
okay.
foremost, let's get this easy one out of the way. 5% scaling on.
Okay,
Thermite.
that doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's easy.
Cool. Nice.
I mean,
and
it
easy.
matters, but it doesn't
So,
matter.
We were looking at ULLR and really trying to break down. This has always been a very difficult character. I think even our staunchest, Smite Puritans who want everything to be as hard as possible would recognize that ULLR's play pattern is difficult to pick up for a lot of players. And a lot of that comes from the fact that this combo feels very straightforward.
What are they
You
about
hit
to do
axe,
to
swap
Ul?
to bow stance, 3-1, it all kind of blows up at the same time, and it's really good. But the thing is, if you didn't press 2 in bow stance, if you didn't pop your stim, then you just lost out on a ton of damage, especially in the late game, which is the area that he's always struggled in the most.
Yeah.
That barrier on you watch someone get one-tapped by a pro ULLR, and then you go in your games and try it, and it only does, 70% of their health when it needed to kill them. Now you're dead because you overextended to go for
Wait.
it. You're like, well, I can't play.
Anyone
this
remember the
character.
beginning of the year where the dude was swearing
The kit
AA
flow is
Ul
really
was
good, but
meta?
We really want to preserve it. I'm a Diamond ULLR who's played it for years and years. ULLR's one of my favorite characters to play. We really wanted to maintain his kit identity, but he has these clear weaknesses, and he has that barrier to entry.
This is
on
weird.
Executing this perfect combo, and we felt like we could make a really unique, fun shift to refresh ULLR players a little bit and get people interested in him again. So it's real simple. It's gonna look like a bunch of text because it is, but here's the quick and dirty.
I
of it.
imagine this still
We
just being a
swapped
3-1 combo.
the bonuses on the bow stance 2 and the bow stance ultimate points. So before you would get
Oh,
attack
so you get the
speed
concept
when
power
leveling
from the
ultimate
fucking
in bow
passive
stance,
now?
and you would get power
Or from
when
the ult
activating
passive?
the 2
What?
in bow stance. Now, when you activate the 2 in bow stance, you will get attack speed.
Okay.
And by putting points into your ultimate, you will get free physical attack, which is the
That's an
stat that
item!
ULLR is the most
They
hungry
gave
for,
you a
the thing that
whole
he needs the
fucking
most.
item for a passive on your
And we think
ult.
this can be really good for him because it means that he's getting guaranteed power that is gated towards his later game. Getting 20 physical power at
shit.
rank 5 or level 5
Oh,
is going to be
shit.
strong.
Yeah.
We
But it's
just talked about
also,
this last
most
night, how
ULLR players
Ul
aren't
isn't
putting
good in
a
the
point
jungle or
there
even worth
at level
playing.
5. It's not an
Okay.
intuitive ranking system.
20
for ULLR.
power on the
Now
first
this
rank
can
of your ult
feel-
is
they can be a little bit more
crazy.
traditional in that way. And it introduces a lot of new fun aspects to the kit because remember, you get half of the benefit of the ult stance points in the opposite stance. So you'll get half of this power in axe stance, and you'll get the full benefit if you pop the 2 stim in bow stance and then swap to axe stance. So you're getting a lot of lifesteal from axe. You can pop the 2 now in bow and get this big burst of attack speed and get to hack your way into healing up really quickly. Or it lets him trade more effectively.
So this is the ult passive.
Feel a little bit more like a normal hunter for that.
So your ultimate, your stance change has a passive.
We recognize that this is a pretty significant shift.
It's a big change,
But we're also hoping that it makes him a little bit more accessible. And he hasn't been in a great spot recently. And we've shown, 10 years of balance on ULLR. He doesn't land in the middle very often. He's a very polarizing character.
He's amazing, or he's not quite.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we think that
this is an interesting thing to mess with.
On it, can
and whether
make that a
it's
little bit less
really gonna be
extreme.
cracked or not is
Really excited to
I don't
hear
know.
the feedback.
The other thing to mention
I
about
think it'll
this
be
as
more
well is that both
consistent
of
better.
the individual buffs have been buffed as well from their prior effects.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do, especially with the swapping stances.
44 is
that
a
you were
real-
talking about,
a weird
that
ass
have
number.
power. Normally, ULLR players would pop the power and then switch stance and then get that extra power for their scaling on their 1 and their 3 rather. Yep. And so that's again why we increase the scaling on the 1 to kind of help with that. Because you are technically getting less power in that stance, so at least you'll have more contribution of what you have on top of that. But that attack speed is also very valuable in that stance as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. I love, again, not a huge ULLR player. I've definitely have dabbled
Gooseberry,
before, but
Wool
like you said,
Jungle,
There's a skill floor. You have to really learn your way in. But I love the mix-up, It gives you a little more variety to how you can play him. And for somebody who's more of a veteran, you kind of get to relearn something you love a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really fun nailing down when I want to be using the 2, and it's not always dissimilar to what it was before, that you're going to be okay if you use it in the same spots.
Yeah.
But now there's some new opportunities to learn, and I think that, we're being in year 10 of Smite and playing if you've played ULLR as long as I have, trying to remaster a mechanic like that, I think is what motivates me to queue up with them.
It's a breath of fresh air. Well, again, I feel bad I've gone this long without saying it. But the update notes are live if you want to go back and read through that, see all the numbers, whatever. And always give us
What a
feedback.
strange patch. Hunbat's gonna
I
get
heard this
played
a
more.
second ago, but
Wool's
it's-
gonna
we
come
always
back
look
into the
for
meta in a good way or a
these
bad way, I
crazy
don't know.
changes. We always look for the feedback from y'all.
Most
It
of the
is
item nerfs are
pivotal to everything
buffs
we
are
do,
fucking
because,
weird.
Like our number one goal constantly
annoying.
is how do we make this fun? Like we want things to be balanced. We can't just say, well, we have a lot of ULLR mains. Let's just make them OP. We want things to be balanced.
Yep.
But we want it to be as fun as humanly possible.
Exactly.
And the people who decide that are y'all. So go through, read through these patch notes if you aren't already, and make sure to let us know what you think through PTS and when it goes live.
Yeah.
Wait, they didn't nerf
We're
Mammon.
gonna keep going.
Yo, Mammon's about to
Oh,
clap people in rank.
changes here. Jing Qian.
Yeah, it looks like a long list, but it's really pretty simple.
Oh, okay.
So Xing Chen has kind of been at the bottom for a bit, whether that's in win rate,
A
popularity,
rework of some kind?
all of the above, really, unfortunately, for our headless friend. So what we're doing here is we are giving Hook Slam a bit of a boost here in both the damage, a little bit more on the damage in the axe form.
That
which
root
is the,
duration is
again,
nice.
Cone that you lift up, and then you smack down in the slam. That's getting a smaller burst of damage, and then the root, which happens during the slam duration, is also going up. It's not going up at late game, but in the early game. One of the changes that we did when we first changed the DR system was to grant a little bit extra CC duration to characters who had been, part of their kit is CC and then another
This
CC.
patch hits next
Right.
Tuesday.
So the fact that Xing Chen does this, you can kind of say, well, you don't actually have to do this. You don't actually have to knock up and then root, and you
Right.
could get the full duration. We don't necessarily think that that is something like a hill that we feel like we really need to die on.
Yeah.
And we think that Xing Chen players do want to do this combo, so they shouldn't be punished for doing this combo. And that's why it's going up at the low ranks and staying the same at the high ranks to not be so punishing for players that want to do the thing that they're supposed to do.
Do the full
Yep.
combo.
Yep.
On top of that,
On top of that.
we've got Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, one of the coolest names in the game, I might say.
Yeah.
This ability has had this mana cost that goes down per rank, and that's not something that we typically do. It's kind of a relic at this point of systems past.
Yep.
That's kind of a way of improving it towards the late game, and we don't necessarily want to.
Why
keep
was
that
it even like that
anymore.
in the
We're trying
first
to make
place?
sure that late game Xing Chen is still feeling very functional and viable. And so we are kind of flip-flopping here, doing a little flop back and forth to now. The early game is 110 and the late game, the previous early game is 110 and the late game was 70. Now we're doing it that the current new early game is 70 and the new late game is 110.
Yeah,
Just
a little more aligned.
swapping
with
the
standard.
sides.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little short swap. So Well, cool. So, I mean, again, a Guardian, so one of my favorite, always biased towards Guardians, and the burger skin. So
Of course.
bring them back. I want a burger. Last but not least, we are on to the last of the god buffs. We have Yu Huang.
Yeah, nice and easy here for Yu Huang. Another character that's received a couple buffs, just needs one last little push, hopefully.
Yeah.
And we had our resident stats expert, Max, shout out to...
That's
In
a
and
big
Out.
buff.
We did a deep dive on what is causing Yu Huang to struggle, and he just isn't keeping up in farm in the early to mid game. And his cooldowns are fairly low, especially as you rank them, but Flames of the Phoenix just getting
That's
more
a
access to
big
it,
ass
lets
buff.
you use it on mid camps, come to mid, use it on the wave, go to red, use it there.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit less downtime.
That
for
two
him.
is going to be
Hopefully
on
he can
such
keep
a
up and
short
get to that
cooldown to be
mid-game.
spammed.
Awesome. And hey,
Just
with that new,
absolutely
that new
spammed
skin
in
with
team
Mr.
fights.
Cosmic Chest,
Hey,
like,
we'd be
gonna
taking those.
gonna be dapper, though. All right, so we have made it through all of the incredible god buffs. Now we're on to just a few nerfs, just one
Just
or
a
two little
couple.
nerfs. So gonna start with Ganesha. Just
Yeah.
what
So
the
the
fuck?
elephant's been going a little crazy. God of Success might be seeing a little bit
elephant in the room.
too much success right now. So what we had a
Fuck
couple
Ganesh.
of options that we could do with Ganesh,
Fuck
but
'em.
we decided on focusing on Dharmic Pillars
Yeah.
because this is kind of the game changer when it comes to team fights, and it has a very low cooldown. We wanted to retain that cooldown because that's just a really cool, unique thing that Ganesh can do, is place these pillars very often. We just wanted it to feel like the pillars weren't like an insta-death for anyone who gets trapped inside of them.
Fair.
So the effectiveness of the pillars, not necessarily the cooldown of the pillars, is what's going down here between the protection reduction and the slow, just taking 2 small hits each.
Yeah. Sounds fair. I love the cooldown staying the same because that is one of the most enjoyable abilities to throw.
Agreed.
I think.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the last of our god balance changes. One more nerf. We have set.
Set, yes. So if you've watched any amount of SPL recently, you've seen
What? That's it?
most mid laners dominating with Set. He's been very, very strong there. And for once, he's actually also performing well at other levels of play. This is typically a god that is only good at high level and guaranteed loss for everyone else. The fact that he's actually winning in more, inexperienced players'
surely
hands,
more
average
nerfs here.
players' hands, that
Like to his
indicates that
3,
he
which is
a
insanely
little bit too strong.
overtuned, right?
So we're decreasing his skewer scaling a little bit. And then more importantly, especially at that high level, we're decreasing the dash damage from the 2. So this is, if you're really good at lining up your double hit, this is where a lot of his damage ends up coming from on the poke on your set against your set mains. This is why their skewers do so much more than when you try and play them. It's because they're landing this extra dash damage. So a pretty significant nerf. If you are hitting both, it's now a 15% damage nerf instead of just that 5. So
What's up,
hopefully,
Sky?
Set's
Mom
an
is going to
exciting
be
character.
cracked on Tuesday.
He's
These set
unique in what he
nerfs
does. He's really,
are
really cool to
they're
watch.
nice, but
We don't
I still
wanna
think
just
Set's going to be
instantly remove
annoying.
him, and again,
Like obviously they're reducing the damage of Set,
usually on the
solid,
polls, it's
but
either
is that enough?
unplayable or the best thing to
We
do.
nerfed
We're hoping that this
how
can
much
put him
scaling?
in
A
more
total
middle
of
spot.
15% scaling
back to that
late
middle
game.
zone where we wish everybody could stay, but
Yep.
ooh, that's hard. All right, so that does it. We made it. We did the
Hey,
balance.
we
We
did
talked some
it.
incredible balance, but obviously the show is not over. We have one big beautiful thing to talk about, and that is RuneScape, and we'll talk about it right after this. Right after this video that's going to play here in just a sec, but I'm just keep talking about RuneScape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
RuneScape.
we got to talk about it first.
It turns out, video's not here right now.
Oh,
You may have seen it
no.
on Twitter, so maybe I jumped the gun on that a little bit. I'm just so excited about it. If you saw it on Twitter the other day, showcasing the new skins with this update. I mean, it's the RuneScape Returns update.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those are Black Plate Bologna, General Grardor Ymir, and Sandwich Lady. So, video's here now. We're good.
Hey.
Let's see the video. I love it.
I like that
The
skin.
adventure never ends.
The Ymir sucks. That skin would be fun to use.
This is for the wise old man, not you.
There it is. as a longtime RuneScape lover and player, every time we get to work with Jagex and them, it's so incredible. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do. And
What's up, Fike?
yeah,
Thank you,
I
dude.
just here we
figure
are
it out.
again, getting to share more content with them and with y'all. So we're having another RuneScape event come back. It's the RuneScape Returns update, after all. And the way this one will work is the RuneScape chest is coming back with all of the skins. So every single RuneScape skin available to y'all. If you want to grind for those capes, it's a good time to get back into it. If you've kind of, you had to take a break, I get it. It's
The hype dies so fast for these crossovers.
Your thread every so often update.
It's still going. It's been almost a year, and
Unless
it's still
they're
going.
really,
So,
really,
with this
really good
event,
skins.
Blackplate Bologna is
Despite
going
what
to
the
be reward
crossover
skin.
is.
So if you get any 3 RuneScape skins, whether it's direct purchase or rolled from the chest, or any of the cosmetics, any 3 will get you the Blackplate Bologna skin.
This is a strange patch.
And past that, I mean, it's just RuneScape coming back. I will never get sick
The
of it.
skins
I've been
are
playing the
all
game
like all of the
a
skins.
whole
None
lot
of them are
recently. I've
exciting.
been in RS3 just grinding. Actually,
That
on one
black
of the
Bologna
characters I'm
skin is
playing
dope
now,
looking,
just
and if
got
Ymir
the
wasn't
fighting
suck,
guild
I would like the
last
Ymir skin.
night, so that
Big.
level
But
60
the skins
mining,
aren't hype.
so
Love that.
You know we out here.
The
working
buffs
on
and
that
nerfs
stuff.
aren't
But,
really
let's get
hype.
into the skins. I'm super excited.
Except
to
for
show
the
these
Ul one.
off. Black
Ul one's
Plate
kinda hype,
Bologna being
potentially.
the first one.
Yeah, it looks so good, and just being that reward skin like you were talking about, I'm excited to see a lot of Black Plate Bologna out there on the battleground. Hopefully on my team, because I don't like getting obliterated by Bologna,
Yeah,
but
I don't like
to each their own.
Yeah, she just looks really clean.
She does.
Like, I think that this armor in particular just is a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean it is, and it's funny too. Like I love this because back when I back when I was playing OSRS, back before it was old school, back when it was just RuneScape.
Right.
Like half the time, my drip was I had a top hat, I had a cane, and I was wearing the gold trimmed black armor, and I was like,
As you should.
I look good.
Yeah.
So see, and there it is too. It's just it brings back so many memories. I can't get over it.
Yeah, I love it. And something that I gotta say, like, we've done a lot of incredible crossovers. I've gotten more texts every time we do like when we did the RuneScape thing. That was the most times I got texts from friends who don't play Smite being like, "Yo, can I get that? Like, I need to have these RuneScape skins."
I need this.
And I'm sure that I will be getting some of those right after this as well. It just looks awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I have to say this, a shout out to
That never
a
happened.
buddy of mine and my cousin who both have been playing this game. Like, I've taken breaks here or there, but like when I got back into it recently, they have both been continually playing. They've been teaching me necromancy, the new skill they recently dropped, all this other stuff. So it's something that really brings groups together. So let's go in game and check this skin out.
Oh, yes. Oh, she looks so good.
The God Sword is so great.
Oh, and with no cape either. Like, just as a reminder for everyone, if you have any capes, you can wear it
I
on
like the
any
skin.
RuneScape
I
skin
do
you
like
got.
this skin. I think this is really
All
good.
these guys can be very customizable, but
auto
that's what
attack
that looks like in
animation
case you
plus
choose
color
different cape
slam
lists
is
for whatever
nice.
reason.
And you can, if you're like, listen, capes are cool.
But it's not hype.
I
It's
can
just a nice
control
skin.
the drip of the armor, then
It is
And I don't like
tricky.
Bologna skins,
No doubt.
really. Most Bologna skins suck.
and I just love like the old school effects will never get tiring to me.
Yep.
So it's just seeing them and the sound effects. It's just I'm flooded with memories. This is one of the games that got me into gaming. Like when I was a kid, I had access to maybe 6 games. This was the one that got most of my time.
One of the things that I always love about RuneScape stuff is it's such a community-driven game. It reminds me of Smite in that way, where they just have so many of these little inside jokes or weird little references that they got really excited about for the first round of RuneScape skins, and so I'm really excited to see how everyone, because we have so many RuneScape players here at Titan Forge that put in so much love to that is awesome. Like there's just so many little attention to detail moments for these RuneScape skins that I'm really excited for everyone to get their hands on them.
Couldn't agree more. Well, let's continue onward then with the next skin, General Grardor Ymir.
Look at him. This is just a clean look for Ymir as well.
It is, honestly. It suits Ymir very well. And General Grardor, not one that commonly swings a club around, but it worked with the
cold is
Ymir
my
thing.
gaming
The
room? It's not
people at
cold, man.
Jagex are so awesome. Every time we work with them, we'll be like, hey, we have this meme idea we want to do. And they're like, oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Or, I know at one point we were like, hey, here's one of the things we thought about, or like the way we're going to do it. And they're like, that's really cool. Like, we love it, but y'all can be sillier if you want. Like, don't worry too much. So they're a bunch of incredible people to work with who really...
My only problem is that Ymir stinks. If Ymir was better, this would be fun to run around on.
So I can't brag enough about how fun it is to do these crossovers, not only for us who are all fans of it, but to work with such a fun team. But anyway, this skin is amazing. I absolutely love it.
I just love the like almost pixelized
Right.
effect going on and the textures. It just suits it so well, especially with that like polygonal like style that you see in a lot of the RuneScape art. It just like it's like you literally picked him up out of RuneScape and
Should have
put
been a
him
Herc skin.
Literally hit the home teleport, misclicked, and now you're here.
Demir does have a lot of skins.
Hey,
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it.
hey, now we got a cape.
Well, we lost with
It's so
digits,
funny
didn't
how
we?
tiny it
It's so small. On him. It's so,
He said
I
if we
love it.
win.
It's so goofy in the best. way.
Oh, look at that wall.
You gotta go around it to get the Grand Exchange. There you go. All right. Look at-
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, the classic effects are just so good.
Yep.
The circles, they just read
This
so
is- see, this
like,
is good.
nostalgic for some
They
reason.
do.
Yep,
I like this
absolutely.
overall.
That reminds me of when I tried RuneScape. Like, I don't want to say how old I was at the time. You know, it feels so long ago, but it was. It definitely instantly takes me back to being in my friend's computer room, being like, and him showing me RuneScape, like, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
want to just, let's not go outside today. Let's sit inside and play this.
We're done with outside for the summer. It's RuneScape now. So
Yep.
I just love too going back to that ult, the way it has those classic, like a lot of the abilities I think of are like the teleport, like, right? Has
Yep.
those triangles that emanate out from it around the edges, and so when you see the ult, all of the animations are so good.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, just seeing the ult and seeing those, like, it really does nail the theme, I think. So I couldn't be more proud of the team who brought this to life, and the fact that I'm lucky enough to get to share it with you. So big shout out. But we are not quite done yet. We have one more skin to go over, and that's Sandwich Lady Amaterasu.
Yeah.
Oh, Sandwich.
They
like,
should have
if
skins
you
on another
play-
day.
if you
Nah,
play
because they want
RuneScape
as many
ever,
people to see
Sandwich
these
Lady
as
is somebody
possible,
you
so
know.
people will buy
Yep.
them.
You know, general.
It funds the
General Garbo
company,
is
and
somebody
it makes
that I cross
sense.
paths
It's
with
just
very rarely. It's
unless
a
the
way
skins
to
are
game
super
plan.
hype,
When I was
it's kind
younger,
of hard
all I did
to
was
enjoy
fish all
watching
time.
the
And
breakdown
Sandwich
of the
Lady was somebody
skins.
I was always talking to. She'd show up, and I'd be like, you know what? I do need a triangle sandwich right now. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's just, I love seeing this come to game.
Now I want a triangle sandwich.
I agree. I'm gonna be getting one after this. And look, the fact that we were able to make the sandwich box into the mirror.
I know. It's so good.
He's got the
Rowan, David, the 48
stale
months, brother.
baguette. It's just absolutely incredible.
It works so well
Yeah,
for
it's
some
like
reason.
almost scary how well it works.
It does. Not to brag, but at one point or another, I had acquired full Sandwich Lady drip.
What
in
patch notes are we
RuneScape.
getting?
Oh.
Is this
Every
supposed
so
to be?
often, I'd be woodcutting and I'd flex. She'd show up and I'd be like, all right, one of us has to change.
Look at us, a couple sandwich people.
Look at us. A couple of sandwich people.
10,
All right,
11.
So, you know, we've gone a game for the other two. We got to go
Yeah,
in game.
10, 11.
Hey, let's do
get
it.
in there. The sandwich. It's
Which?
just what a classic character. One of the classic like RuneScape experience, especially old school. Just absolutely a fan.
There's
Ooh,
a
I
Oh,
like
the
the little
swirly.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that is awesome. Yeah, like I said, like having a community who is like, yeah, Sandwich Lady is a character I really love. Like that's what
I want
that's
to be
what I
the
love.
sandwich
Like,
lady.
that's what makes gaming communities so fun, and I feel like, you know, like you've been saying, that the Titan Forge and Jagex like attitudes and just general like willingness to embrace the absurdity of the things that they're doing is what I think makes these skins work so well.
Dude, you're smacking people with a baguette.
Right?
Like,
Is this
come
skin
on.
not
Absolutely.
like to you guys? This as boring as it is to me. I feel like this skin is.
Said. I could not agree
trash.
more. Like, you know, Wise Old Man. Another.
I think
character
it's
you
supposed to
have
be
in the game.
funny,
You go to
but
the lore page of Wise Old Man, and there's
to me, it's
I
just
love
not
the
funny.
emote. The flex is so good. But no, like the lore page for Wise Old Man is so deep, right? Like fought to save the world, did this, did that, the bank robber, all this other stuff. Sandwich Lady's lore is, it's not quite as deep, you know, some funny voice lines here or there.
Right.
The fact that somehow this character, who doesn't even really have a name beyond Sandwich Lady, is so incredibly popular, and it's like, oh yeah, that's RuneScape. Of course I know that. Like,
Yep.
it's a testament to a game that has really carved its own path for so long, and we're super happy to work for, because that's how I felt about Smite. You know, it's
Yeah.
another game that's carved its own path, and to be able to cross paths with them and to make something really fun for everybody. It's a dream come true. So
So much fun.
I know I'm fangirling over here. I apologize. Really, this is my zone. So all right, well that does it. Yeah, I don't know why I looked back at this. We're at the end here. We've made it. We talked
We
about
did
some
it.
cool stuff. Again, what's crazy is we have all of this in a 3-week update. This is a
Yes.
short update. It's a tiny one. Like, not in capacity, but in time. Because we'll be at another update, like, right around the corner. So after this comes out, keep your eyes out. We're going to be right around. I mean, you know, everything is closing in. We have Worlds on the way.
So this is only a 3-week update,
crazy.
meaning
It's already been crazy.
patch
all
hits
year.
next
Twitch
week,
has been
and then
insane. It's just going to keep getting crazier.
and then
until
2
we
weeks from then we get another patch notes.
So if you're not looking forward to it, you better start.
Yep.
So thank you for coming out today.
And that'll be our November
it's been a joy to
patch,
share
which
all of
is
this. PTS is
gonna
be up,
really be the last one with
soon
any
or
content in it,
now.
I feel like.
You know, sometimes it takes a little while right after the show.
Wait, won't that be a new god?
We're
Or am I
definitely gonna throw it
trolling?
out there along with you know, some threads for feedback as soon as it goes out. Hop in, let us.
Will we
know
get
what you
another new
think.
god
We'll
before
get
the end of
all
the
that
year?
Feedback right away because it's a short update, you know. So the quicker you get it to us, the quicker we can start moving forward and you know, fixing the things that might not be exactly where they need to be. And last but not least, Dev Insight tomorrow.
Right after this,
I think it's
actually.
right after
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're moving it up.
Yeah, speaking of feedback,
All right, that's the
give
patch
it to
notes.
us now.
Yeah.